Welcome to the couch. I have something to talk to you about today. Sometimes we know we have problems, but we don't know what to do about them. And sometimes we know something's wrong, but we can't identify the problem. We're here today to solve that problem. I'm gonna give you a quick blueprint to overcoming anything. Absolutely anything. Will it be easy? No. It's not, and it's never going to be easy. No one can give you 5 easy tips to overcoming anything. It's gonna be really difficult, but it doesn't mean it's complicated. Here's it. To overcome any challenge in your life takes 2 things: self-awareness and action. That's it. Self-awareness is where you know about the problem, you recognize the problem, and action is actually overcoming the problem. Sounds simple, right? Let's dive into this a little bit more, because I know you probably have questions. I hope I can answer them. So self-awareness, what it means is you know yourself. You know yourself inside and out. You're honest with yourself, and you know, okay, I have a problem here, I have an issue here, I'm good here, and I'm fabulous here. That's self-awareness. Some people think of self-awareness just as knowing where your problems are. Self-awareness is also knowing where you're strong. That's gonna come into play a little bit later. But first we have to know the problem, and not only do we have to know the problem, because you have lots of problems. And so do I. I have tons of problems. You have tons of problems. Everyone has tons of problems. Nobody's life is fabulous and perfect. Now that we got that out of the way, when it comes to self-awareness, choosing something to overcome is very important. Because we could say, okay, my biggest problem right now is my depression. Okay, what do I do? That's complicated, and you're not gonna just find something to do that's just gonna overcome your depression. Instead, the question should be, okay, what are one of my symptoms that I can overcome right now? Let's say, okay, I'm having trouble sleeping. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna exercise during the day, and I'm going to make sure I go to bed at a certain time and wake up at a certain time. There we go, right? You create an action plan for overcoming that symptom. That's what we need to look for, is challenges that are just the right mixture between easy to overcome and way too much to overcome. Because if we get something that's just like, okay, I want to just overcome my depression, that's over here. You're saying, okay, I just want to overcome my depression. Boom. That's not gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna even happen in a month. It's not gonna happen probably within 6 months. It's gonna be a long journey of overcoming certain little things along the way. And those certain little things are really where we wanna look at. And just mind you, this is overcoming anything. I'm just using depression as an example because that was my big challenge. So instead of just saying, okay, all the way over here, I wanna overcome my depression, but we could also go all the way over here and say, okay, instead of 9 o'clock waking up, I want to wake up at 8:55. Yeah, that's awesome. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about small improvements. If your goal is to wake up 5 minutes earlier every single week and eventually wake up at 6, I'm all for it. But just having the goal of waking up 5 minutes earlier isn't gonna do anything unless there's a bigger end goal. But you see, my point is, that's way over here. It's off screen. It's so easy. Whereas depression, it's kind of off screen over here because it's very difficult. So instead, we need a balance, and that's where I put in, right, going to bed at a certain time and waking up at a certain time every day, making sure you stick to that schedule. And maybe even a way to break it up further is saying, okay, I always go to bed at 1 a.m. I know I'm not going to immediately just go to bed at 10 because that's just not feasible. How about instead I try to go to bed at 12:30? And then next week, okay, why don't I try to go to bed at 12? See where I'm going with this? You have to know yourself, and you have to know what you're capable of. This applies to everything in life, but just specifically talking right now about overcoming challenges. You have to know yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. I posted probably a lot. I've said this a lot in the past, but I finally just wanted to make an entire video just dedicated to this. You have to know yourself. You have to spend some time, whether it's in quiet or just examining yourself and saying, where am I strong and where am I weak? Keeping up the stuff that I'm strong with and getting rid of the stuff that's bad for me. Taking that away. And so those places where I'm weak, those get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I get stronger and stronger and stronger in those places that I'm weak. If you want to get strong in that, I don't really care if I'm strong in drawing or not. So I don't care about making that stronger. But I do care that I'm stronger at my bad habits, just picking my nails. I care about that, so I want to get that weak part and I want to make it stronger. See how I know myself? I know myself and I say, okay, this is something that I could really need to work on. And honestly, just speaking purely, honestly here, that picking my nails is the thing that I'm working on right now because it's not too easy and it's not too hard. It's something that's very important to me and just to my life. And so it's the perfect thing to overcome right now. See how I made that balance and I made that decision? And now I'm focusing on it and not really paying much attention to anything else. I'll work on those challenges later. But then we come to our taking action. You can know yourself all day long, but nothing's gonna happen if you don't do something about it. This is where it gets really hard. It's easy to say, I'll have these problems, I'll make these plans, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, but actually doing it is really hard. Trust me, I know. I had to overcome a ton of laziness that I inbred in myself during my years of depression. That was a terrible habit that I'm still fighting. It's just that sluggishness and that apathy. I'm still fighting that. Because of those 4 years of just building up that habit for every single minute of every single day. And so I get that taking action is hard. But if you don't do it, nothing's gonna happen. In fact, you'll probably just get worse because you just feel sadder and more miserable, and you'll feel like you can never accomplish this. You can never overcome this because you haven't. But the reason you haven't is not because you can't. It's because you haven't tried yet. And you haven't made a real decision to actually go through with it and actually accomplish this. Actually accomplish this vision, this goal that you have. I love this quote I took from Gary Vee. If you don't know who he is, awesome man. He says, and I actually have this on the background of my phone, he says, your actions have to match your ambitions. If you're telling me that you want to become super fit and become a fitness instructor, you better start working out. If you don't, it's obvious that your ambitions and your actions aren't matching, and therefore your ambitions really aren't anything. They're just hopes and wishes. Nothing's just gonna happen. You're not gonna be able to just sit around and all of a sudden your life is like, wow, and then you are just like super rich and famous. That doesn't happen. That's not how the real world works. All of those things online saying, oh, I'll make you a millionaire in 4 months, they're not real. They're scams. And they're terrible, and I hate them because it brings you up with false assumptions. It brings you up and says, wow, if I don't do this, and I'm not like a millionaire in 4 months, then all of this was a waste. You do realize that I get a very, very small amount of views on my YouTube. And I've had this YouTube up for the last 3-4 years. By all assumptions, I should quit. By all the things that people say, by all the get rich quick, I should have quit a long time ago. But I didn't. Because I'm playing a longer game. I know what it's like to actually provide value and build this. And then so see that it's that longer game, it's the taking action, and it's not waiting for the results, but actively pursuing results. There is a huge difference between the two. do not wait. I want you to be relentless in your pursuit. Make your actions match your ambitions. And if they're not, then we have a problem and you need to start questioning what you are doing today. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. This might have been like a tough one and I spat like a lot of hard truth, but it is truth. Truth that you need, especially if you are a teenager questioning your life and all the complexities and stuff in the world. Make sure you're commenting below with what you want me to talk about next, hitting that subscribe button, and checking out my free ebook down below, completely free, and you can learn how to overcome your depression with basically everything that I did during my recovery. Take care, I'll see you tomorrow. Being ashamed, staying ashamed.